At 15 years old, Shantae was already a battle rap legend with the hit song 1984's Roxanne's Revenge, which made her the first ever female rap star. She was favored to win, but after making it to the final round, she lost to another acclaimed rapper, Busy B, in what could be only described as a heist. There was a consolation prize. Everyone told her she was nice for a girl.
I can't expect you to be like me. You don't have the proper ID. You can barely compare me to anything else. I'm a real breed.
Hi, welcome to No Nonsense Hip Hop. And I'm joined by Ali and Morgan, and we're discussing female MCs today. So I'm going to read you an insert from this book, and I kind of feel it's really fucked up in a sense, and it has to do with Roxanne Shante and Curtis Blow. I don't know if any of you know who Roxanne Shante is. I know Morgan and Ali do, and I know a few others that do. But she was a severely extreme MC to the fullest, to where she battled, and she battled dudes too, and she was just lit back in the 80s.
At like a really young age too, right? She was like 14, 15.
Right. So Roxanne Shante believes she inspired the term female rapper. She swears it happened in 1985 during the New Music Seminar at New York's Marriott Marquis, site of the annual MC Battle for World Supremacy. At 15 years old, Shante was already a battle rap legend with the hit song 1984's Roxanne's Revenge, which made her the first ever female rap star. She was favored to win, but after making it to the final round, she lost to another acclaimed rapper, Busy B, in what could be only described as a heist. There was a consolation prize. Everyone told her she was nice for a girl. It was clear Shantae got robbed. Years later, one of the judges, Curtis Blow, and I really, I gotta stop. I'm really disappointed in him for this, because I loved Curtis Blow.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Blow, maker of the first hip hop or hit rap record, Christmas Rapping, admitted what was already an established fact in hip hop, that he scored her low on purpose. Other judges awarded her 8s, 9s, and 10s. Blow gave her a 4 because he didn't like the optics of a girl winning a rap battle, no matter how much she outperformed her opponent. So because of that, because of incidents like this, the possibility of non-male champion in a rap battle, Shantae says the concept of the female rapper was created. When they were just all known as MCs, there was no female, male, they were just MCs.
Yeah, and since then it's almost been a 2-tier system, hasn't it?
Right.
Of
like now, if you
the females are like separated. Like even in battle rap, it's like, you know, female battle rap.
They're separated by gender instead of skill.
Right.
I mean, if you look at hip hop, like big hip hop groups like Hip Hop DX, stuff like that, and they post their top 50 lists, you never see a quote unquote female MC on that list.
Yeah.
And then if we're talking MCs, we always have to put female MC. She's dope for a Oh, Heather B was dope for a female and
Mhm.
for a female MC. No, bitches, she was an MC. Period.
Yeah.
Like, it's offensive, and it's fucked up that it still goes on today.
Right.
It is, and it's when you think about, you know, the when people use it, it's not just for rappers. You see it in other you know, professions too. She's a female astronaut, or she's a female this. It's like, do you know how dumb it sounds if I start going, he's a male surgeon, or he's a male,
Yeah.
like,
But it doesn't happen that way because
right? Because
He's a male designer.
because their gender
you know?
doesn't affect their
Right.
ability. And when it's the other way around, it's seen more as an accomplishment because they're female. Like, oh my
Right.
God, you're so good at this, even though you're a woman. You know, like
Yeah.
that's not how
Right.
it should be.
yeah.
I mean,
and
there's
it's really
so many-
frustrating, isn't it?
It
And-
is, and it's like 2021, and we still have to put labels like female.
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous. There's so many dope MCs that have a vagina.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
I hate having to use the term, and I think, you know, we've all said,
So do
like,
I.
we want to stop using the term, but the reason we're doing this episode is because of constantly seeing all these lists of, you know, top 10, top 20, top 50 MCs, blah blah blah, and if you see a female in there, it if you see a woman in there, it is rare, and
Very.
it's just because
Well,
it
it's
should
more
be a
than that.
level playing field.
It's more than that. It's you see these top lists and it says top lyricist list, and that's it. But then there's always a separate list. There's a top female lyric. Like,
Right.
why is there a separate list? If
Yeah.
this
Right.
person's number one on this list, why can't they be within your top 5 of the other list? Why does it have to be
Mhm.
separate?
Yeah.
Exactly, because I can tell you right now, like MC Light, Da Brat, you know,
Mhm.
Heather B, Raw Digga, Lady of Rage,
Yeah.
right? These Jean Grey, Shay Nor, Sarah, these women can go toe to toe with
Yes.
these men MCs, and a lot of times their shit is like, especially with Shay Nor, Rhapsody, Ciroc right now, their shit's coming out better than the dudes.
Yeah.
Even in battle rap, like Misfit, you know, Jazz, these are top tier battle MCs, and they get separated. Like, you know, I want to see, I wanted to go back to where you could just battle. It didn't matter if they had a nutsack or a vagina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's
But
nothing about being an MC that is dependent on on your gender, right? Like ability
Right.
to rhyme, you know, any of that is not, it's not a strength competition. You know, this isn't a, can you run faster? You know, it's not that. It is based on lyrical skill and that sort of ability.
if you can rock the mic, if you can spit, and if you can spit and you got dope lyrics and you can rock that mic and you know, get people to pay attention to you, there shouldn't be a difference whether it shouldn't have to be female. And
Mhm.
and here's the thing, nobody says, oh, male MC. They don't even do
Mm-mm.
male MC. Like, it's top 50 list, top 50 lyricists. Oh, here's the top 20 of female
Right,
lyricists.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I might make
What?
my top 20 male MC lists just to,
Yeah.
you know,
and just post it and see what people say. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you would get a backlash. Like, what do you mean male?
I don't
Oh, I'm
think you
sure.
would. I don't think you would.
I think some people would.
Some people that
would.
are intelligent might be like, hey, what do you mean by this? You know,
Yeah.
come on,
Um,
Twitter's not known for that. I mean, there's a few people on there that I actually have like Watson and stuff like that I have decent combos with, but hip hop Twitter,
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
that's a whole nother place.
Yeah.
Pop Twitter.
It's interesting though, I guess if you look at the evolution too of it, that we know in the 80s and 90s, you know, how many incredible MCs there were, and
Exactly.
so much skill. And I suppose now if you look at the women in hip hop who are getting the attention, who are getting the support of the industry, it's very, very different in terms of sort of skill levels and what they're bringing. And I guess in some ways it's kind of, you do see people saying, well, you know, there aren't any really, and I have seen tweets, people saying there are no good female MCs
Oh
out.
God, I hate that.
Oh
And it's
God.
like,
that.
Yeah. Are you
because
crazy?
all they see is Cardi and Megan and blah, you know, and it's like, do you have any idea how many incredible MCs are out now, forgetting everyone, you know, who came before?
Right.
And so it sort of helps that narrative, I guess, that women are successful when they take their clothes off, they have explicit lyrics, and that's all that they need.
ridiculous.
What was,
Absolutely.
like, would you say there was a turn in that? Because, you know, back like Queen Latifah and them were trying to change that narrative at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
empowering women and stopping the sexism and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that did take a turn again at one point.
I mean, because
in
you still
mainstream.
had Little Kim, who
Right.
was always going to be this sexual presence. Even Missy Elliott, though she wasn't dressing like that, but her lyrics. You know, can tone to that. You know, you had Trina, stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
And then you
go ahead.
had artists like Queen Latifah. Even today, you got Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, but then you got artists like Rhapsody. You got artists like Shay Noor, Ciroc, even Snow the Product. They're not out.
Yeah.
Showcasing.
Well, I was in this book here. I was reading that thing about Lil Kim, and it had said that persona was built by Biggie,
by
right?
the industry, yeah.
By Biggie himself, say that they had used an outtake photo of her where she was like squatting or whatever, and her, you know, her legs were open, she's wearing a bikini, and that became, so I mean, that's another problem. It makes you wonder where she'd be if they had not given her that persona.
I mean, like if you go back to NWA, to Ruthless Records, you had Terry B, right? Eazy had signed her. She has that song, Ruthless Bitch. And she had said that they wanted to work, because they did the track together, where they were calling her a bitch.
Right.
And she said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna let you. I'll say I'm the bitch. I'm the head bitch. I'm the bitch. But you guys aren't gonna call me bitch on my record.
Right.
You know what I mean? She was actually pretty dope. Went into punk rock after that. But yeah, I just I wonder too, like some of these women that are out here, like Cardi B and stuff like that are out doing all these type of songs, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do,
if
right?
it's what you want to do and not being pushed by somebody else.
But I remember when Cardi first, like her songs that I liked, like the Red Bars, she was just spitting, you know, talking about shit in her neighborhood, stuff like that. And then she blew up and she became this huge sex symbol. Nicki Minaj too, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I don't really listen to them. Like I like Cardi's Latin shit she does, like the reggaeton when she's on a track with Bad Bunny, stuff like that. But that's a whole different. That's not hip hop in my opinion. That's that's like Latin reggae in a sense. So
I mean, you know, it's happened in every genre of music. I mean, the history of the music industry is, you know, women. I don't know whether they. I don't know whether they do in rock. Well, maybe not as much, but there is
Joplin and stuff like that. They were like, I mean, they were like hippie, like even Heart and stuff like that. They weren't really.
Maybe not rock so much, but definitely in a lot of other genres, there is
It's
that sort
happening
of
in
like,
the country right now.
you know, women get ahead through sexualizing themselves, you
Yes.
know, very overtly. That is sort of what is expected. That is how you be successful. If you don't do that, you know, if you don't wear the clothes and have the makeup and act in a certain way, then, you know, you're not going to be as successful. And it's almost like they feel
I
that there's
think,
a choice that they have to make
I
to
mean,
go down one route.
it started back in biblical times. If you think about it, God created Eve for Adam. And then later on, like, women had no rights. I mean, if the pharaohs could sleep around, the kings could sleep around on their
Mhm.
wives, but the wives couldn't. They could get stoned to death. Women couldn't vote. Women couldn't work. You know what I mean? Which is why they came up with the feminists. And I think female rappers that weren't talking about that were known, that didn't want to be called bitch and all that in the track, were known, considered feminists. The industry considered them feminists. And I don't know if they were. I think they were just saying, hey, this is the type of hip hop I like,
Right.
you know.
Right. And they
Uh,
weren't molding themselves to the expectation, the sort of male expectation of women, and,
right.
you know,
I think they were like,
fighting
look,
against that.
I could do this shit just like you. Just like you, dude. I can spit this hard ass track and I don't got to talk about sucking this and doing this. And I can show you. I think that's what it was. I think it was like Queen Latifah. I loved her. You know, I just, man, there's so many. Jean Grey, she was amazing. Uh, there's some even gangster chicks that were just rapping harder gangster shit than dudes, like Nina X, gangster, you know, Lady of Rage. They were just hard, like that same kind that when you listen to whatever, like say Ice Cube or Scarface, and you're
Yeah.
like, damn, that shit is so hard. That's what they were doing too. Just was a woman doing it.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
and you get to a certain level, or just a certain, I don't know whether it's just, you know, within the bigger labels or something, but there is a sense of, you know, that
sex
the
sells.
well, sex sells, but
That's
also
basically it.
there's a threat to the sort of male supremacy of it
Well,
if
I mean,
Right.
women can come in and
like throughout history, intelligent women have always been seen as a threat, and I think that
Right.
that crosses over into this too. Like if you think about the level of intelligence it takes to put together some of those bars and make any of
Not just put together, but have
right,
the full talent to be able to
Mhm.
spit it the way they do.
right. So like
Technical ability, I guess you could say.
yeah, so like I think that makes them a threat there too. Like I think that I don't know why we're still living in an age where like where masculinity is defined by, you know, being above, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, you know what I'm getting
Mhm.
at.
Yeah,
Like
or just
Yeah.
that we're still in the era that a woman has to do this to get ahead. I mean, look at Snow the Product. She was with Atlantic when
Right.
Cardi and them were there,
Yeah.
and they shelter her and just wanted her to ghostwrite because she didn't want to dress like Cardi B.
Mhm.
She didn't want to be out there making songs like that, and they shelter her. And I'm glad she went independent and
yeah,
started her own
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I mean, because she's dope too. Like she could really spit. She's been on
Mhm.
track Tech Nine, Crook. I mean, there's
She's held
just
her own,
one.
or been better than a lot of them,
I
you
think I
know.
gotta be honest. Crook's first verse on that track, and then Snow came in. I think Snow ate Crook, but then he came back and wrote another verse. So sorry, Crook, you watched this, but I even told him that I was like, I think
Mm.
she, bro, you
Yeah.
know. But this is the book we're talking about. Is it shown correctly? Because it looks
Yeah.
backwards to me.
No,
Okay.
No, you can see
sure.
it.
This one.
Okay, why show backwards for
'Cause
me?
You just have it on mirror.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the Mother Lode, 100+ women who made hip hop. This book is amazing, amazing. Great, great book. You got just so many.
Yeah, it starts from the beginning and then it goes, I mean, clear up to Cardi B and then everybody in between.
Right.
And then the
And I think
groups. I
that's
had no
what-
idea that there were so many groups.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like JJ Fab, and then you got Salt and Pepper, and
The
you got,
HWA, the
Yeah.
female. Yeah.
just so many. TLC. We cannot leave out Sparky D. She was the one that went against Roxanne Shante in that battle. That was just an amazing time. I remember that so vividly, like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And I think that's why, I think having this conversation is really good, because not only can we say, hey, there are incredible lyricists out there and MCs out there who happen to be women, who are great. Just, you just have to look for them a little bit,
Right.
rather than just following, what the industry is pushing out. But also, and we see every day on Twitter, there's this almost like revisionist history, right, of hip hop, and I think that it's important to highlight the story of women throughout it, because it could be forgotten. And I think it's like, anyone, and it's anyone who's made hip hop, anyone who's had an impact on the culture, we need to make sure is getting recognized. But I think more so the women throughout who have played such a huge role and been so important to it.
I agree. Like MC Shyrock. I mean, she was a big impact in hip hop. Like I just think these women, with the need to be like spoken of, and there's this insert here that says not only was rap beamed into American households via network TV, but a young Black woman was at the forefront, meaning these artists, these MCs were at the front of it. When did we get to this point where it's like, because back then it was just a level of respect. It didn't matter if you were a woman or a man. It was like, oh shit, she's a dope MC. In the 80s, that's how it was. And then we get to this point to where it's like, they're very rarely mentioned. I gotta give Crook a shout out, because he'll do that once in a while. He'll shout out, or do like, who's your favorite female, or
I mean, was there, like, you had the 80s and then into the 90s, and you had Lil' Kim and Missy Elliott and Eve and all that, and then I don't know whether it was just me and where I was and everything, but there seems to then have sort of almost been a gap.
Right. That's what I
Of
was
the number of
thinking too.
years,
you had,
almost kind of, and then Nicki came along.
well, you had Remy, and then Nicki was back then. She just wasn't as big.
Yeah, but in terms of like who made it really big, almost
Right.
there seems to be
Not
like
2000s.
where there were dope lyricists around, women around doing it, but in terms of the sort of heights that you had at the late 90s, that maybe you didn't have that until Nicki kind of made it really big, and then you had almost like a new generation of rap fans, and I call them rap rather than hip hop fans, because a lot of them have never listened to anything from before 2010. And because I'm sorry, I did see someone say the other day that Logic is a top 20 rapper of all time, and I'm like, how do you say I've never heard any hip hop before
Oh my-
2015 without
Yeah.
actually saying it? It's like by
Right.
saying that.
I love Watson's post when he said, I love how old heads that are from
Yeah.
90s hip hop seem to think like us 80, us older generation don't know hip hop. We were listening to shit in the 80s. We knew hip hop before 90s came out. Like,
Right.
Yeah. But I feel that
But-
maybe because of that, Nicki was she was it for
well,
quite
you
a
had
while.
Eve too. You had
Yeah.
Eve like from 99 to a little bit of the 2000s. Eve,
Yeah.
I love Eve. Like she could spit and she had to battle Rough Riders to
Mhm.
even get in. Like she literally had to rap battle each of them before she could even be accepted into the Rough Riders. Eve was my favorite at the time. I loved her. I liked her style. She was always real classy too, like in how she dressed,
Yeah,
how she
yeah.
herself,
Yeah, she definitely carried herself a certain way that
right?
was
And she
really,
did some
really
meaningful songs too. Like she did that song about domestic violence, her
Mhm.
friend who was killed by her boyfriend. Just dope. And then she had that real hard shit, and she had that real like Philly where she's just spitting. And I just really like she was my shit back then. We had some like we had back then too other not so well known though. I'm trying to think of well known females like I think back in the 80s, it was kind of weird. 80s and maybe I want to say up to mid 90s, maybe. It was like if you were a hip hop head, if you really were into it, you knew across the board, women and male MCs, and you could literally be like, oh shit, yeah, blah blah blah. Oh, from Philly, from down south, from the east, you know what I mean? And you
Right.
knew where they came from, what they were about. And then we got into the 2000s and and I don't know, hip hop just took a turn, and it was like it parked, and then this subgenre came out.
I think it did. I think there's definitely that feeling that the second half kind of at the 2000s,
Right.
that's sort of when I stopped
Because you also had
paying
more
attention, because it just like I just stopped listening for a
Right.
long time, just
I
because of the
didn't
way
stop.
it had all gone.
I just listened to the older shit. Like
Yeah, if I did listen to hip hop, it was still like stuff I'd listened to before.
right.
And it took me a long time to kind of get back, and I don't know whether it's just like is the way that the female MCs are perceived now kind of partly a result of just a general shift in hip hop,
I think so.
that had so many other factors.
Because if you really look into, well, before we get into that, I mean, I got to name Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu back in that era, Foxy Brown, all amazing. But once hip hop took a stop to where it stopped being lyrical about lyrics and shit like that, and then auto tune and mumble rap came out. And then now it's kind of going back to lyrical rap, right? Even though you got some of those that use that new kind of wave of spitting, like the new J. Cole song.
Yeah.
He didn't really use auto tune. What he did was spit how they're spitting now, in a sense. I think females have kind of been excluded as it comes, like, because unless they're doing something like Young M.A. Like she's dope, but she has she could do that new sound type of thing. You know what I mean? I see lyrical rap, like lyrical hip hop coming back. It's coming like the last year, maybe two, I want to say. I've noticed it. And I see that there is Shay Nor's getting recognized. Ciroc, Rhapsody, but there's so many others that are out here spitting too, that we need to, really I think I would like to see more Twitter posts on these and more Twitter posts on the women of hip hop as
Mhm.
opposed to just always. And I'm
Yeah.
guilty too. I got to do that too.
Well, yeah. So
you know,
like, uh, I mean, why don't we ever see some of these, the ones that are in sort of the spotlight, talking about who
inspired.
influenced them, right? Like, because you hear it all the time from the men. I was influenced by Rakim or Tresh or Eminem or whatever, but you never
Right.
see them talk about like Cardi never talks about who she influenced, who got her into that, who inspired her to start. Nicki never talks about it. At least I've never seen it. So
I've seen Young and May, but for her, it was more of the dudes that were rapping.
right,
But I know I see your point because back then they used to be like, I remember Little Kim and them like they would shout out Missy Elliott, stuff like that. Foxy Brown did a few. Lauren Hill was always good about that. I don't know. I don't see it no more like that either. It's very rare you see some of the guys do it now too.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
think,
definitely, I'd like to see more of the newer artists saying, talking
right,
about who influenced them and actually having the conversations and showing, I guess, being part of that history and the evolution of it and, being students of it.
right,
And, that we hear from Crook and Royce and, that they're always talking about this sort of stuff.
right.
And, kind of keeping that connection through to the history coming through.
Yeah, because like Queen Latifah had said that Roxanne Shante had inspired her.
Mhm.
JJ Fab. Um, I know Rod Digga had mentioned that Heather B had inspired her. I don't see it like that no more. I don't
So, I
know.
mean, I'd
Are
like
they
to
forget?
see,
You
yeah,
think?
I'd like to see the female rappers ask these questions and talk about who inspired them and to name some of these women. I'd also like to get to a stage where we have male rappers naming
Some
female MCs as inspirations to them as
right,
well.
right.
That it can go both ways. It doesn't
I
have
agree.
to be like, we have seen female MCs talk about men who influence them, but there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah,
saying, yeah, I have been inspired by, Queen Latifah or Jean Grey or who anyone,
MC
just
Light
because
or
of
right.
anything, like just because they heard them, they liked the way that they rapped, they and it was an influence on them, and
Snow the
that's when
product.
we'll get there.
Snow the product had named Tech in them, but she also named Eve as an inspiration for her too. And I thought that was dope because I was like, because you're kind of the same. You're not out here showing off your body like that, and you're really doing a testament to true spitting.
Mm-hmm.
There's times where I feel like I wish her flow might change a bit because it kind of the same type of flow. Um, Unless she's on a song like with Tech and it's the real fast, chopper
Yeah.
type shit, then she'll go with that. Or like she did with Crook. But on her own songs, sometimes it seems like the flow's the same. But I think she's fucking amazing. Like she's got bars, she's quick thinking, she could freestyle off the
Yeah.
dome.
I mean,
That's
lyrically,
her, I admit.
I think Snow's one of the best. Musically, yeah, I guess she's not one that I listen to as much as others. Maybe for those reasons, it's just like musically, it doesn't attract me
Right. And then she throws
as much.
Spanish to it too.
Yeah,
So
I've said
I
before that
really appreciate that
I like
too.
Snow, but some of her stuff's hit or miss. She's great. Like some of it, I don't want to say hit or miss. It's for me, it's hit or miss whether I'm going to listen to it again.
Well,
Like you said,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like the child support one, like I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about that no more. It's not something I'm gonna bump. I mean, it's no shade. I thought it was a dope song, and I thought, this is great for women that are going through it right now. some of her tracks are, I think that she's just having fun in a sense. Kind of like it's kind of hit and miss with me, like some of M's where I'm like, he's just having fun,
Right,
go
right.
for it, good time. But I do miss, I miss the like I really been going back to the 80s a lot, and I just miss the whole essence of hip hop back then. Because you had DJing, you had, and it was both men and women just tearing it up, and the way the music sounded, it was just fresh. People were breakdancing, popping, and it was just this whole love of this culture of hip hop, just what it did to you, how it made you feel. Some was political, some was fun. Then we got into the gangster rap era, and I just like the females back then, like even Salt and Pepper, they were amazing. You know what I mean? They weren't.
They're my workout music. Seriously, like Salt and Pepper is my workout music every time. It just gets me so pumped up for that.
Them and TLC, like they weren't this super lyrical, like I'm gonna battle rap, da da da, but they were like just dope. The energy, right?
Right.
And I really miss that in hip hop. That energy, that freshness of energy that it gave.
Yeah, I think having a bit of that competition, and I think if you look at some of them now, like Shay and Sarok and Snow and Young M.A and all that, like I'd almost like to see them rap, to be the best rapper, to like have songs like, you had sometimes the 80s where people are like, what is this song about? It's not about anything, it's just about I'm the best, like I'm better than everyone else. And like I'd love to see some of that competition coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And
I blame society for that, because it's like this whole, it's almost like this whole unity type of thing. Like if we're women rappers, we gotta support each other and love each. You could still do that in fucking battle.
Yeah.
It's in battle rap all the time. I love. That's why I love battle rap, and I Misfit. She is my favorite battle rapper, but that's why I love it. They'll get down and dirty with their bars, going at each other. And then afterwards they hug it out. They're like, hey, you was dope or whatever.
Because it's respect. It's a respect, and you respect the people you're competing against, and you know that on any given day, any one of you could beat anyone else.
Right.
It's the enjoyment of it. And
I miss hip hop. Like I miss it in just like even the underground scene, and I just miss that. I miss that too. Like
I'd like a little bit more of that in general, and I'd like to see these women do that, because I think it would just be fun. It would be really good for the culture. It would show everyone that they're all on an equal footing here, and
or what would be dope too is if they got like Shay Norris, Rock, even Young M.A. Let's just throw her in there. Let's throw Rap City. And let's throw Snow, just for the diversity, right? Mm-hmm. Of the different sounds. And they were to get on a track and just go full force, just like calling anyone out to challenge them, like we are like, top end, MCs, blah, blah. Like I miss that.
That would be amazing. That would be so cool to see. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it really needs is just that, like you said, there's just not enough competition there.
Hip hop needs
bring
that
them out
again,
right?
Like,
well, I mean, think about that's as humans, as human beings, we kind of thrive off of a little drama. Like it really does do something for everybody. Like regardless if you want to admit it or not, you tune in because of the drama, and that's just human nature, I think.
E40's verses, they were talking shit to each other, even though they're great friends. But the battle was amazing because they were just going at each other, right. And yeah, drama attracts a lot of attracts me.
And I would prefer this drama. Yeah, we know it attracts.
And Shadow.
And Shadow. Yeah, you two are terrible.
Shauna, shout out to Shauna.
Shauna to SP.
Right.
This kind of drama.
It's a good one.
Is good drama as opposed to the made up shit.
Right.
That is almost just any tweet, anything anyone says is picked up and turned into some kind of news story to try and
Bullshit.
create drama.
Yeah,
And it's
that's why
all bullshit.
I think Shauna, myself, and Shadow, it's not really about the drama. It's that when they say stupid shit like that, we're like, what the fuck? We just crack up and just go at it. And it's kind of like, let me show you how stupid this fucking post is by
Yeah.
what we say.
Yeah.
Some-
Oh no, that's fun, and I'm all for doing that because I think
There's
it's
a
great.
couple times we get indignant, though, I'll admit.
But I'm talking about like the hip hop media pages, you know, hip hop
miss
DX and all
that.
that.
I
And
miss-
every day it's they're desperately trying to turn nothing into a story.
Yeah, did you see that today where they were talking about Joe Budden, the what happened, and they try to throw M in it, like say people are saying that this is what happened with Slaughterhouse,
Oh,
same thing with M and Joe. Look, and I'm just like, really, that shit happened years ago. This is about his podcast, like it's a whole different, you know.
Yeah.
But
And
they-
no one, like, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. We don't know all the details. But yeah, I'd like to see drama that's good for hip hop. And I
want to
think
see the
that-
competition.
I want the competition, and I just think these women can play a role in that and really put some fire into it. And it's not about tearing each other down. It's
Right.
actually, it is about building up and
right. Well,
supporting each other.
it's almost like it's just a challenge. Like they're just challenging.
It's
Yeah.
also sharpening your sword in hip hop, and it's
Oh.
also showing that hey, we could do this shit too. I think, you
Mhm.
know, I would like to see. Do you know 38 Spleece? He did that tribute to Prodigy album, right? I would like to see one of the nowadays artists, MCs, like say Rhapsody or whoever, do something like that as a homage to some of the women that came before them. That would be dope too.
Mm.
Almost
I
like
think it would
giving
be.
flowers.
Again, kind of connecting through the thread like that goes through history.
Yeah, because
Well, I mean, just doing that though, any current fans they have now that don't, you know, because you know that you get on somebody and then they talk about somebody in their song and you go check it out. So like even just
Mhm.
that opens up a door for someone to do some digging. And they
Exactly.
find something they like, you know, just as much, not from the same era. Maybe not someone that's even rapping anymore, but just to get them on that.
yeah, exactly. And you know, a lot of the Eminem fans, some of them, not all, because some of them just believe M is just it, but there's a lot of them that will go check out who he's shouting out,
Right.
Mhm.
you know, or the shirts that he wears. You know, I miss that. I really do miss the 80s though. I just miss that whole sound. You know, it was just like super fun. You know, even when it was like really hard shit, like 89, you had Rakim and all of them, Big Daddy Kane. But just the whole sound was just, I know, it's just so different as to what it is now. Like if you play what's on the top chart now, and then go back to the 80s, use the books we got, and go back to like 88 top hip hop chart and see the difference in sound. Like it
Well, I mean,
there's no room for b-boys now. B-boying, there's no b-boying nowadays because you know the music ain't for it.
right. Well, I mean, the music has to change, I think,
Yeah.
to an extent. I mean, with technology, even, you know, we talked about before how things were all, you know, in real time. They were real instruments, and then, you know, drum machines started coming. You know, all that stuff just changes the sound. But I think it's almost nice to have the difference because it gives you something. Because no one, like personally, I don't want to listen to the same stuff all the time. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for something from the 80s. Sometimes I want to listen to something from the 90s. something,
Mhm.
you know, just having that
I-
difference allows that to happen.
But I mean, there's nobody doing that sound anymore.
Right.
80s is completely dead unless you gotta go back and dig in the crates and pull up that sound. If you want to hear Roxanne spit, you want to hear, Salt and Pepper. These sounds are gone.
Right. So I mean, it'd be nice to make it as a challenge.
I mean,
What they,
rock,
I mean, it'd be nice to challenge them to see what they could do. Some of these artists from today.
Yeah.
You know how 38 especially did the 1995
Yeah.
beats. I mean, to have them go back and just challenge them to see if
Yeah.
their skills can match up to that sound from that era.
Mhm.
That would be a good comparison if you're going to compare two artists from two different
Right.
eras.
like Snoop, he did that new one, and it's kind of the same sound as his
As always.
90s.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, but like you could, I think also rock, like you said, all music, but rock kind of stayed the same. If you go to listen to heavy metal today, to heavy metal to the 80s,
It's got the same formula.
same.
Yeah, it's got the same formula. They don't change up much other than
So what makes hip hop the genre that has to fucking change?
I think it's the competition.
Yeah, I
It's
think a
because
lot
it's
of
so
it.
competitive. Rock's
But
not
it's-
competitive.
Rock's
that-
not competitive. Yeah.
But it's not that hip hop competitive. It's almost like they're competing for a bag now. It's like, okay, let's hurry up, get this song out. Let's get this bag. And it's all pretty much, if you go to the charts, it's all the same sounding shit. Pretty much, like you said, you don't want to listen to things that sound the same. But today's hip hop or today's rap, if what's the industry is popping out, all sounds the same. The 80s had different sounds, 90s had different sounds, but you go to today, it's pretty much all the same sound. So what is it? And it's not the competition, I don't think. What is it that made hip hop change so drastically?
Well, I think, I mean, there
stay the same.
There was an element where, and that's where, it is different now, but there was a time when if you sounded like someone else,
it was biting.
Yeah, and I think that it's just the nature of rapping,
all of that is
and the way that came, and that's why we had a real constant, quite quick evolution of sound. And for whatever reason now, that
it's
sort of
the
art, that sort of art, like you have some who are still doing it. Nas, even KRS-One, came out, and that you still have some of them who come from that era and who care about the art and the skill of what they're doing. But
I mean, because
somehow that shift that happened at the end of the 2000s into the 2010s,
right,
that whole sense of emceeing, I guess, in that way, just kind of didn't matter as much.
Stop it. Hip hop is the only genre that had rules. No biting, no ghostwriting. It had rules. And then it had 5 elements to what made it hip hop, right?
Right.
The culture. Those are all gone now, I think. Because ghostwriting is okay. They don't care if you had someone write your bars nowadays. Biting is definitely okay. The elements to hip hop are gone. I mean, it's rap. It's what it is now. Like, it's
most
rap.
of it, yeah.
You got some of the old hip hop heads that are still making music that make it to where, Redman has his same type of sound. Snoop has his same type of sound. Ice Cube, Too Short, stuff like that. But in essence, the industry, it's like done away with the elements of hip hop and the rules of hip hop, because it did have rules. If you freestyled, you needed to go off the dome. Now you don't. You can go on radio, literally read off your phone and spit what they call a freestyle. I mean, I always considered freestyle off the dome.
There are two
But
types of freestyle now. Yeah, there's
now
the off
it's
the
like,
dome, and then there's the I'm just gonna spit for 10 minutes.
right, it's that if you wrote it and it's on your phone, then it's okay. I mean, because it's freestyle, you wrote it, but I don't consider that. I'm old school. And I remember when artists would battle at a state radio station to get on air. Roxanne did it, Eve did it, all the MCs from back then to get on the radio before they actually made it. They had to battle at the station against all these other artists that were there.
And I guess just to bring this back then to what we're talking about is that because all of this has happened to take the genre to where it is now means that to be a successful female rapper, because I'm definitely not going to use the term MC in that sense, is here's some generic beats, take your clothes off, and here's some rhymes, and go ahead, and that's all that is expected of you.
I mean, if you look at the outfits that Cardi and Meg had when they were doing WAP at the Grammys.
I wouldn't call them outfits. I would call them small pieces of fabric.
Right. And then
strategically placed.
And then you go look at Ciroc, what she's wearing, what Shay North wearing, and you look at Young M.A.
They're just wearing clothes, like they're just.
And Young M.A., Ciroc, Shay, and Snow, and look at where they're at as far as charts go. That Cardi and Megan are on top. Nicki is on top. You know,
and Nicki is one who has a huge amount of skill.
Right.
As
she uses her full potential.
No, and I think, you if you listen to her, like she is very, very talented.
Right.
But for me personally, I don't like what she did with it.
Right. I think the last female where we had like the battle thing, like Roxanne was with Shady D, was Nicki and Remy. I don't know if you guys remember that, where Remy did that.
I know about it. I don't remember when it happened because I wasn't paying attention.
Remy was dope. Like she was good too, really good. She could spit, and she didn't have to be out there half naked, it's insulting in a way to the female MCs that are out here that don't get recognized because they're not willing to take their clothes off or
so it makes me wonder, like, now that Cardi and Nicki are where they're at, I mean, if they did change up,
would they follow?
No, if they changed up how they perform, how they present themselves, if they would still have that following, like if they stopped dressing that way and you only saw them in normal clothing like everybody else, instead of these.
I think their hardcore fans would.
Her hardcore, her core.
Like her core fans would do that. But I think everyone else that's just the average, probably won't.
So I mean, like, then I think there's always that debate on whether it's the audience's fault or if it's just industry alone. I mean, obviously it's always industry, but I mean, like,
I don't know, the audience is to blame because they're buying this shit, but I also think they decided to do the shit. There would be nothing to buy if they weren't that crap.
Yeah.
And everyone knows sex sells. Right. Okay, Cardi and Megan come out and you could go on YouTube and all the dudes are reacting to it. There's a reason why. It's not because they want to hear the damn song.
Nah.
So that's boosting their charts.
I'm very proud to say I still have not heard the song in its entirety.
Of what?
Yeah.
I
don't mind the song. That's the thing, because
I heard enough of it and I was like, I don't really need to hear the rest of it.
I liked Little Kim. I like that raunchy ratchet.
I don't care about I'm good with any topic if you can do it well. I just didn't feel like it was done
I
very
don't-
well.
I didn't stream it. I don't have it. I heard it once, and it was I heard it once when it came out, and then I heard it in a reaction that one of, I think it was King Blitz who did it. I'm not sure. But after that, no. And it's not because I mean that I'm against it, because I like ratchet, shit like that. But it's because I look at the other female, the MCs that are actually out here spitting that aren't getting the credit. And I'm like, I'd rather stream their numbers up
Yeah.
than boost,
Yeah.
they're already getting the charts anyways. They want, I mean, that song won the fucking Grammy. I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. I mean, all I can, I guess we can hope that we are seeing this shift in, back to hip hop,
lyrical.
that has lyrical basis, that the production's more interesting, because a lot of that,
Yeah.
the production that's making it big is all very samey, and it's just kind of generic stuff. And that, hopefully what that means is that the artists who aren't getting the attention will start getting more attention.
Right.
And I guess for me, it's just, I do make a point of trying to post the music I'm listening to from all eras. This is what I'm listening to today, and it could be from the 80s, it could be from last year, whatever. But just to make a point, and I hate having to do it, but making a point to say once a week, at least, I'm going to be posting and highlighting a female MC
That too.
from any era, but just,
And I think our Twitter, our no nonsense Twitter, should do it also.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have access to it. So, like, we should alternate who's going to post what, and I definitely will on my Twitter post.
Yeah.
I think,
and call people out when they're putting lists. People even that we can respect or that we know are real hip hop heads who are doing lists and not.
Yeah, and there's a respectful way of doing it. I mean, there's.
Yeah.
I like to ask why. Like, if you truly don't have someone that is female in your top list, why? Like, I want to know the reasons, the comparisons of why they're not up there, and not be just because they're female.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times they just don't know that many female MCs.
Right. And I mean, a lot of them I've heard of that their content doesn't apply to me, but like, some of them aren't rapping about female problems. Some of it's just generic, just general society problems, or whatever. It's not all. It's like us saying that we're not going to listen to some man because he's talking about some woman. Like, that's not,
There are a lot of rappers who rap about stuff that isn't my life at all.
Right, but it's still enjoyable to listen.
It doesn't matter to me, because I listen to it for the skill and for the enjoyment of listening to it. And there are a lot of men rapping all the time about their dicks. That doesn't apply to me.
I got one of those, so like
exactly.
I can still listen to it, right? It doesn't. It's like, it's not going to go. I'm not going to listen to him because he talks about what he's doing. So those arguments are just dumb.
They're sad excuses, and they're not.
I'm gonna post my top 5 MCs, my top favorite MCs of all time, and I want to see if anyone says anything, because I have a couple of girls on there.
I'm going to post, I may, depending on what kind of mood I'm in one day, and if I'm feeling in a particular mood to get into some shit, I am going to post my top 10 favorite male MCs. And I'm going to highlight.
Allie. You're supposed to maintain your niceness on Twitter.
I'm done with being the nice person on Twitter all the time, because I miss out on I miss out on the fun. So I want to get some shit
Yeah.
stirring going here, and I'm actually going to
Welcome
do
to
that.
the dark side.
You gotta
Thank
bring
you.
out. You gotta get your in the alias. You gotta bring out.
Yeah,
Juke
you're
Nasty.
such a bad
Oh, yeah.
influence on
Like
me.
Morgan.
My Juke Nasty.
Yeah,
I just
Yeah.
go by Tiptoe. Like Tiptoe is all
yeah.
of it.
I'm sure I can come up with the certain name that you can all go, oh God, Ali's in a mood
Oh,
today.
she's in a mood.
Yeah.
That's great.
No,
Uh,
I am going to do that because I do, and you know, I want everyone to share it and talk about it because
Yeah. I'll
I
reach
want
out.
to see if anyone says it. I want to see someone go, why are you calling them male rappers, and actually have that conversation.
Right. Well,
I-
then, and going off of that, like calling out people who continue to call them female rappers. I mean, that
Right.
goes with the
Mhm.
same thing.
Yeah.
I've gotten posted that before where I'll straight up ask them, like, why is it female? You know, are they just good? I can't remember who it was. And they named a whole bunch. And I'm like, okay, but why are you calling them female rappers? Just call them rappers. Like there's no difference
Right.
just because their gender's different. But
Yeah.
I think I'll retweet your tweet when you do it, and I'll say, oh, for males, these are actually pretty dope. This is a pretty dope list for the male.
Being a guy.
Literally use all the language that they always that
Right.
is always
For
used for the
dudes,
females.
For men,
pretty good
these
for a
are
man.
actually pretty
Yeah.
good list.
That slightly patronizing language that
Yes.
is always used, and
Yes.
actually do that and just see how people react, and in a way it's like, this is how dumb it is, this is how dumb you sound
I agree.
when you're always calling them female rappers.
I think I know I left out some female rappers like Sampa the Gray. I know Shadows is gonna list them all in the comments. But you know, there's so many talented women out there that are really putting this genre
I
back
think
on
you're
the
covering your mic, Maria.
Oh, I think there's some really dope women out there that are really putting the genre back on the map.
Yeah.
Shay Noor, like I just love Hustle Don't Quit. I that's one of my favorites from her and Black Thought on that track.
Yeah.
You know, every time she drops something, it's like I'm amazed. I'm like, damn, this shit is dope. It's hard. She's better
she
than a lot of the dudes
killed last
out
year.
there.
She killed last year. I thought it was like what she did was
Right. And
I mean,
Ciroc,
my favorite is Moment in the Sun.
oh
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
12.
yeah,
Shay's verse is
amazing.
incredible.
Yes.
I mean, and then you get RJ Payne, and you know, we love our RJ Payne, and his
I love
verse
RJ Payne.
is
but
Morgan especially. But then Ciroc comes in and that beat switch, and I remember the
Ciroc's
first time I heard it.
amazing.
The first time I heard that verse, I literally I stopped and I was like, what is happening right now? Like listening to that was it, and that is one song that I have probably listened to every single day since it came out.
Yeah,
Every
I
single
listened
day.
to the Hustle Don't Quit. It's just my favorite. I love how she's spitting and what she's talking about. I love what Black Thought is talking about. I like her confidence in that when she's like, I could go and rob even blindfolded, even on the elephant, and no one would know what the fuck I'm doing because I'm that good. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. And she has become one of my favorites. Ciroc's album, Grasshoppers, or Sharecropper's Daughter.
Grasshopper.
I was, you know why I said that? Because I was watching that show, The Get Down, about in the late 70s when hip hop was starting and disco was ending. And they're talking about the Grandmaster DJ, right? And he calls the ones that are trying to be DJs grasshoppers. Yeah. Anyways, but
Sharecropper's
Daughter is
Yeah.
I love that whole album.
I do
There's
too.
this I'm gonna have to send it to you guys in a DM, but I have loads of the women's ciphers. Like there's this one BET cipher that's one of my favorites where Erykah Badu is DJing. And then I've got like the women in Chicago that just do a cipher, just, you know, they have 1, 2, but there's so many dope women out there that are spitting, and they're a little old, but nobody's talking about these women.
Well, I mean,
And
even
I'm
right
like,
then, what you
why?
said,
So fucking good.
right there, what you said is it's not. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't just be highlighting MCs, but also just women in hip hop in general.
Women in hip
Just
hop
said
general.
DJs. There's tons of women DJs too that are
Right.
amazing. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I think just in general, I think the women in hip hop just need a little
Mhm.
more.
Even if they're
recognition.
just a rapper, but
Right.
they're doing something that
Yeah.
they should be standing out for, and they're not. Like, I don't get it. Like the women in the ciphers, I'm like, why isn't anyone talking about these women that are killing it? Like they're really, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's that having to dig in the crate to, in the crates to find. It's so sad. I think it's just sad what the genre has
Right.
turned into.
I mean, all we can do, like I said, is just hope that things are shifting and
Right.
and we'll get back to that sort of skill and that sort of talent sort of getting more recognition.
I agree.
But yeah, let us know what you think. Who are your favorites? First of all, let's highlight them. Who are your favorite male rappers too? I mean, don't hold back. We got to give them their flowers too. What are your thoughts on the industry and why we've ended up where we are, and why there is a sort of sense of female MCs maybe not getting the recognition? Let's have this conversation, and let's
Right.
kind of see what are you going to do to counter that. Be really good to hear from everyone.
I have a question for the audience. How many of you have heard Fly Guy? It's one of the first one of the first women in hip hop. It's this song. It's an old song. If you guys know what I'm talking about, just put a fire emoji or something. Let me know who know. I'm curious to know how many people are in my age group that watch.
Right. And then, and if you like books, because we like books, make sure you
Definitely.
go out and get, the Mother Lode that we talked about in the beginning. There's also this one that's called God Save the Queens.
Yes.
That's another good one. You might want to pick up if you like books like we do. And they have a lot of
Right.
knowledge, if you don't have any access to anything else. But yeah.
Also, if you guys want us to get in our gangster rap bag, let us know.
Yeah, don't forget, I mean, any ideas you have, any topics you want us to cover, any albums you want us to go back to, artists you want us to do appreciations for, just get in touch, let us know. Follow us on social media, the links are there, or leave a comment, like and subscribe, share it with your friends, join the RC community, and let's just keep these conversations going and keep having fun with all this music.
Definitely. Peace, love, and respect.
See ya.
I can't expect you to be like me. You don't have the proper ID. You can barely compare me to anything else. I'm a rare breed. I can't expect you to be like me.